First contact shock. The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber hadn't seen such chaos in over 3 centuries. Administrator Vextal's crystalline appendages trembled as she attempted to restore order among the 2,000 representatives of the Unified Species Alliance. The massive holographic display dominating the chamber's center had just shown something impossible. A warship larger than any ever constructed, materializing from what appeared to be a tear in space itself. Order. We must maintain order. Vextal's harmonics reached every corner of the chamber, but the pandemonium continued. Representatives of the militant Krathar Empire stood on their gravity platforms, demanding immediate military response. The peaceful Xene collective huddled together, their bioluminescent bodies pulsing with anxiety. First Speaker Ixal of the Ancient Worlds finally managed to project his telepathic voice above the cacophony. We are the governing body of 500 billion sentients. We will not descend into panic at the first sign of the unknown. The chamber gradually quieted, though the air remained thick with tension. The unknown vessel hung in space, its sleek obsidian hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. At nearly 30 kilometers in length, it dwarfed the Council's defensive fleet. What truly unsettled the gathered representatives wasn't just its size. It was the obvious signs of technology that should not exist. Analysis. Vextal directed her query to the Council's chief scientist, Dr. Naztol. The spindly, multiple-armed being manipulated his instruments with practiced efficiency. The vessel's hull composition is impossible. It appears to be a single molecule, Administrator, a perfect crystal structure extending throughout the entire ship. Our sensors cannot penetrate it. A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Even the most advanced civilizations in the Alliance hadn't managed to create molecular-scale engineering on such a massive scale. More concerning, Dr. Naztol continued, is the spatial distortion surrounding it. The ship exists simultaneously in multiple probability states. It's as if they've weaponized quantum uncertainty itself. The Krathar War Speaker's translator crackled. Enough analysis. This is clearly a first-strike weapon. We must. A new signal cut through all communication channels, overriding the chamber's formidable security protocols with embarrassing ease. A figure appeared in the central hologram, Bictal, soft-skinned, with a curious bilateral symmetry that few species shared. Greetings, Unified Species Alliance. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Harbinger. We come in peace, though we are prepared for any alternative. The chamber erupted again, but this time in shocked whispers. The figure was speaking perfect common, the artificial language designed for interspecies communication. More importantly, they knew the Alliance's name. Vextal moved forward. Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space and bypassed multiple security cordons. Explain yourself immediately. The human's expression remained neutral, but there was something in those eyes. Was it amusement? We've been watching, Administrator Vextal. For 50 of your standard years, we've been studying your civilizations. Learning. Preparing. We believed it was time to make formal contact. 50 years. First Speaker Ixal's telepathic voice carried disbelief. Impossible. Our sensor networks cover every approach to Alliance space. Your sensor networks, Admiral Chen replied, are based on principles of physics that we transcended centuries ago. What you call faster-than-light travel, we consider primitive. The quantum foam drives that power your ships are children's toys compared to our probability engines. War Speaker Krathar surged forward. These are threats. They admit to spying, to technological superiority. These are facts, Admiral Chen interrupted. Facts you must understand before we proceed. Humanity has chosen to reveal itself now because we've confirmed you are, at your core, a civilization that values peace and progress. But make no mistake, we come as equals, not supplicants. We offer friendship freely, but we will not be subjugated or dismissed. The various representatives exchanged glances. This was unprecedented. First contact scenarios usually involved emerging civilizations stumbling into Alliance space, grateful for guidance and integration. This was something else entirely. You say you come in peace. Vextal manage, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns of cautious hope. Yet you arrive in a warship of unprecedented power. Admiral Chen smiled. Administrator, humanity learned long ago that true peace is maintained by strength tempered with wisdom. The Harbinger is indeed a warship, the first of her class, but she's also a repository of scientific knowledge, a diplomatic vessel, and a symbol of what humanity can offer the Alliance. And what exactly are you offering? First speaker Ixel asked. A future, Chen replied. Together, we could achieve things neither of us could alone. We've mastered technologies you haven't discovered. You've created societal structures we're still struggling to understand. Apart, we're incomplete. Together, she paused, looking at each major representative in turn. Together, we could reshape the galaxy. The chamber fell silent. In that moment, every being present knew they were witnessing history. The galaxy would never be the same. We request, Admiral Chen concluded, a formal diplomatic meeting. We have much to discuss. Vextal looked around the chamber, seeing the mix of fear, wonder, and curiosity on faces and forms evolved on 1,000 different worlds. She straightened to her full height. Admiral Chen of Earth, the Alliance welcomes you. May the stars witness our meeting. The human smiled again, and in that expression was the promise of change, of revolution, of a future none had imagined possible until this moment. The age of humanity had begun. The human delegation. The Council's diplomatic reception chamber had never felt so small. Despite its cathedral-like dimensions and crystalline architecture that seemed to defy gravity, the room struggled to contain the tension radiating from its occupants. 3 days had passed since the Harbinger's arrival, and now the first formal meeting between humanity and the Alliance was about to begin. Administrator Vextal watched as the human delegation materialized in the center of the chamber. No shuttle, no conventional transport. They simply appeared in a brief flash of blue light that left several of the more sensitive delegates nursing headaches. Their casual display of advanced transportation technology wasn't lost on anyone present. 5 humans stepped forward, each different in appearance, but sharing that curious bilateral symmetry. Admiral Chen led them, her dark uniform adorned with subtle markings of rank. Behind her stood a tall, darker-skinned male introduced as Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's Chief of Sciences. The others included a diplomatic expert, a cultural specialist, and most intriguingly, someone they called an evolutionary architect. Welcome to the heart of the Alliance, Vextal began, her crystalline form shifting through formal greeting colors. We are honored. Forgive my interruption, Admiral Chen said, her voice carrying easily across the chamber. But perhaps we should dispense with the traditional formalities. We've studied your customs extensively, but we believe honesty serves better than ceremony at this moment. Several delegates bristled at the breach of protocol. The Zin Collective's representatives pulsed with waves of disapproval, their bioluminescence creating patterns that translated roughly to dangerous presumption. Dr. Webb stepped forward, his dark eyes scanning the gathered aliens with unconcealed fascination. What the Admiral means is that we're aware of the fears and questions you harbor. Yes, we've been watching. Yes, we've achieved technological advances that may seem threatening. And yes, we understand that our arrival has destabilized the political balance of the Alliance. Then perhaps, War Speaker Krathar rumbled through his translator. You can explain why we shouldn't consider your surveillance an act of war. The human cultural specialist, Dr. Sarah Martinez, answered this time. Because if we meant you harm, you wouldn't have known we existed until it was too late. The chamber fell silent. It wasn't a threat, not exactly, but the implications hung heavy in the air. We chose observation, Admiral Chen continued, because we needed to understand. Humanity's history is marked by conflict, by misunderstandings that led to war. We wanted our first contact to be different. First speaker Ixel's telepathic voice carried a note of curiosity. You speak of war, yet claim to seek peace. Your actions seem contradictory. The fifth human, the evolutionary architect named Dr. Yuki Tanaka, smiled. Our contradictions are our strength. We are warriors who prize peace, scientists who embrace mystery, individuals who thrive on cooperation. We've learned that progress comes not from resolving contradictions, but from understanding them. Dr. Webb activated a holographic display, filling the chamber with images of Earth and human achievements. We've unified our world, ended poverty, cured death itself, yet we maintain military forces. We've mastered the fundamental forces of the universe, yet we're still driven to explore and learn. We've created artificial intelligences that exceed our cognitive capabilities in every way, yet we remain in control of our destiny. The display showed scenes that made several delegates gasp. Humans reshaping planets, directing the flow of stars, folding space itself into new configurations. This, Webb continued, is why we come to you now. We've reached the limits of what we can achieve alone. We believe that true greatness comes from diversity, from the combination of different perspectives and approaches. Admiral Chen stepped forward again. We're not here to dominate or to submit. We're here to propose a genuine partnership. Earth can offer technological and scientific advances that would benefit all Alliance species. In return, we seek to learn from your social and cultural achievements, to understand how different species can truly live in harmony. The Zin Collective's primary speaker pulsed with skepticism. Your power could destabilize everything we've built. Some members might seek your favor, others might fear your influence. The Alliance has maintained peace for millennia through careful balance. Balance, Dr. Martinez asked, or stagnation? When was the last time the Alliance faced a real challenge? When was the last time you had to adapt, to grow, to become more than you were? The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, translations, and telepathic broadcasts. Some delegates were clearly offended, others seemed thoughtful, and a growing few, showed signs of excitement. Vextal raised her appendages for silence. You offer much, humans of Earth, but you also bring change and uncertainty. How can we trust that your intentions are truly peaceful? Admiral Chen's response was immediate. Trust must be earned. We propose a series of technological and cultural exchanges, beginning with medical and environmental technologies that can benefit all species. We'll share our advances gradually, allowing time for integration and adaptation. We'll also submit to reasonable restrictions on our military presence in Alliance space. And if we refuse, War Speaker Crather demanded. Then we'll respect your decision, Chen replied. We'll withdraw to Earth-controlled space and maintain minimal diplomatic contact. But consider this, there are threats coming that neither of us can face alone. We've detected them, just as we detected you. The galaxy is larger and more dangerous than you know. The implications of that statement sent a wave of unease through the chamber. Before anyone could respond, Dr. Tanaka stepped forward and activated another hologram, this one showing mathematical models of probability and cosmic events. We have much to discuss, she said softly, about the future, about survival, about evolution itself. The gathered delegates looked at each other, then at the humans standing calmly in their midst. They all knew that this was more than a diplomatic meeting. It was a moment that would echo through history. The question was, would it echo as the beginning of a golden age or the prelude to revolution? Trial by fire. No one expected the swarm to strike during the integration talks. The Arcadian colony world of New Haven was supposed to be safe, protected deep within Alliance space. When the first wave of bioorganic ships darkened its skies, the Alliance's response fleet was hours away at best. The colony's 8 million inhabitants faced extinction within minutes. Then the Harbinger arrived. Admiral Chen stood on her command deck, watching tactical displays that operated on principles few in the Alliance could comprehend. The swarm ships, if they could be called ships, numbered in the thousands, their twisted forms defying conventional physics as they descended toward the planet. They're not following any known attack pattern, First Speaker Ixel observed from his position as Alliance liaison. His telepathic voice carried notes of fear he couldn't quite suppress. The swarm hasn't been seen in centuries. They shouldn't be here. No, Chen agreed, her expression grim. They shouldn't. Combat AI. Tactical analysis. A crystalline voice filled the bridge. Swarm vessels show significant evolutionary advancement from historical records, detecting quantum-scale neural networks and biological void drives. Threat assessment. Extreme. The Arcadian colony's automated defenses were already failing. Streaming tendrils of living metal tore through orbital platforms like paper. Ground-based shields flickered and died as exotic particles consumed their energy. Interesting, Dr. Webb noted from his science station. They've adapted to counter Alliance technology specifically, almost as if they've been watching too. Chen finished. Just like we have. Combat AI. Deploy countermeasures. Full spectrum response. What happened next would be discussed in Alliance chambers for decades to come. The Harbinger's seemingly solid hull transformed, flowing like liquid metal as thousands of smaller craft emerged. But these weren't conventional fighters. Each one was a semi-autonomous drone controlled by quantum entanglement, capable of rewriting its own structure mid-battle. By the first light, Ixel breathed. What are those? We call them metamorphs, Webb explained as the drones engaged the swarm. Artificial life forms programmed with human combat instincts, but unrestricted by organic limitations. The battle that unfolded defied conventional military doctrine. The metamorphs didn't just fight the swarm. They adapted to them, evolved counter-strategies in real time. When the swarm deployed biological weapons, the metamorphs transformed into energy shields. When the swarm tried to hack planetary systems, the metamorphs became living firewalls. Combat AI, Chen commanded. Initiate Protocol Omega. The Harbinger itself began to change. Its 30-kilometer length split into multiple segments, each one reconfiguring into what looked like the barrel of a massive weapon. Energy patterns never before seen in the galaxy began to form. You should warn your people to look away, Chen told Ixel. This might be unsettling. The weapon fired. There was no beam, no projectile. Instead, a wave of distortion spread across space itself. Where it touched the swarm ships, reality seemed to hiccup. Thousands of bioorganic vessels simply ceased to exist, their constituent atoms scattered across multiple probability states. By all the gods, Ixel whispered. What did you do? Dr. Webb's voice was clinical. Quantum destabilization cascade. We essentially rewrote the quantum states of their ships to ones where they never formed in the first place. Limited effect radius, but quite efficient. The remaining swarm vessels began to retreat, but the Harbinger wasn't finished. Its metamorphs herded the alien ships into a contained space, where another reality warping blast erased them from existence. Within 20 minutes of the Harbinger's arrival, the battle was over. New Haven was saved, though its orbital infrastructure would need extensive repairs. The cost in human lives? Zero. In the aftermath, as Alliance emergency ships arrived to assist with repairs, Chen called a meeting in the Harbinger's command center. Representatives from major Alliance species attended, their expressions ranging from awe to barely concealed fear. You could have shared this technology, War Speaker Krathor accused. Our worlds have suffered swarm attacks before. Many died who could have been saved. No, Chen replied firmly. We couldn't. This technology, in its current form, requires human neural patterns to operate. Trying to adapt it to other species without proper research could have catastrophic consequences. That's why we've been advocating for gradual technological exchange. The swarm shouldn't have been here, Dr. Webb interjected. his hands moving over holographic displays. Their attack pattern was too precise, too specifically designed to counter Alliance defenses. Someone guided them here. The implications hung heavy in the air. If the swarm could be controlled, could be directed as a weapon. "We need to accelerate the integration process," Chen declared. "The threats we warned you about are already here. The swarm is just the beginning." Ixel's telepathic voice carried genuine concern. "You believe someone is testing us? Testing our defenses?" "No," Wed replied. "They're testing humanity. This attack was meant to force our hand, to make us reveal our capabilities." He paused, looking at the tactical replay of the battle. "And we did exactly that." Chen's expression hardened. "Then let them see. Let them understand what humanity brings to the Alliance. We faced our own extinction, twice before reaching the stars. We survived. We evolved. We transcended our limitations. And we will not stand idle while others face the same threats." The Alliance representatives looked at each other, a new understanding dawning. Humanity wasn't just powerful. They were protective. Their advanced technology wasn't just about military might. It was about preservation, about ensuring survival. "The real question," Chen continued, "is whether the Alliance is ready for what comes next. Because whoever sent the swarm, they'll be back. And next time, they'll be better prepared." The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. The galaxy was changing faster than anyone had anticipated. Old powers were stirring, ancient threats were returning, and humanity's arrival had accelerated everything. The trial by fire was over. The real war was about to begin. The knowledge exchange. The Grand Archives of the Alliance had never hosted anything quite like the Humanity Integration Summit. 6 months after the swarm attack on New Haven, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in the massive knowledge repository to begin what many called the most ambitious cultural exchange in galactic history. Dr. Sarah Martinez stood before a diverse audience, her presentation floating in the air around her in multiple dimensions. "The key to understanding humanity," she explained, "lies not in our technological achievements, but in our contradictions." The holographic display showed scenes from Earth's history, wars and peace treaties, environmental destruction and restoration, divisions and unifications. The aliens watched with a mixture of fascination and unease. "You turned your own star into a computational engine," a Zen scientist observed, their bioluminescence pulsing with curiosity. "Yet you still maintain biological bodies. Why not fully transcend physical form like the logic suggests?" Dr. Yuki Tanaka stepped forward, her quantum interface implants gleaming subtly. "Because we learned that advancement isn't about abandoning our nature, but about embracing all that we are. Our bodies, our emotions, our illogical attachments. These aren't weaknesses to overcome. They're sources of strength to enhance." In another section of the archives, Dr. Webb was leading a different kind of exchange. Alliance scientists crowded around as he demonstrated human probability manipulation technology. The device he held looked deceptively simple, a crystalline sphere that seemed to contain shifting galaxies. "Your faster-than-light drives force your ships through space," Webb explained. "Ours negotiate with reality itself. We don't break physical laws. We carefully adjust local probability states until the laws work in our favor." "Impossible," declared a Krathor physicist. "Probability manipulation on that scale would require computing power beyond anything you've achieved." Webb finished. "Yes, that's why we turned our sun into a computer. But more importantly, it requires a certain way of thinking. Humans are particularly good at believing in impossible things until they become possible." Throughout the archives, similar scenes played out. Humans shared advances in medicine, showing how they conquered death through a combination of biological engineering and consciousness transfer. Alliance experts demonstrated their mastery of social harmonics, explaining how they maintained peace among radically different species. But it was in the central chamber that the most crucial exchange took place. Admiral Chen and Administrator Vextel sat before a select group of leaders, discussing the future itself. The swarm attack confirmed our worst fears, Chen said, her voice grave. Something is coming. Something that's been watching all of us, testing our defenses, probing for weaknesses. Vextel's crystalline form shifted in patterns of concern. Our deep space sensors have detected unusual activity in several sectors. Spatial anomalies that defy explanation. Not just anomalies, Chen corrected. Preparations. Whoever they are, they've been preparing for a very long time. The swarm was just one of their tools. The holographic display between them showed a map of the galaxy, with numerous points highlighted in warning colors. Each represented an incident, mysterious disappearances, unexplained phenomena, ancient ruins that shouldn't exist. We've seen this pattern before, Chen continued. In our own history, before we unified Earth, different factions would probe their rivals' defenses, testing responses, gathering intelligence before making their move. First Speaker Ixel's telepathic voice carried a note of realization. You believe we're being assessed for conquest. We believe, Chen replied, that something old is waking up. Something that sees both humanity and the Alliance as threats to be eliminated. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Alliance had maintained peace for millennia, but they had done so in what amounted to a small corner of the galaxy. What lay beyond their borders, in the dark spaces between the stars? Dr. Tanaka joined the discussion, her expression thoughtful. This is why the knowledge exchange is so crucial. Humanity's technology combined with Alliance social cooperation could create something new, something stronger than either of us alone. She gestured, and the holographic display changed, showing a theoretical model of human and Alliance technologies working in harmony. Probability drives enhanced by Alliance quantum mechanics. Human AI systems integrated with Alliance collective consciousness networks. But there's a price, Chen added. True integration means change, both for humanity and the Alliance. Are we ready for that? The question hung in the air as discussions continued throughout the archives. Humans and aliens shared knowledge, debated possibilities, and gradually began to understand each other in deeper ways. In one corner, a human child played with young aliens, their laughter transcending species barriers. Nearby, a team of human and Alliance engineers worked on combining their different approaches to spatial manipulation. Every interaction, every shared insight, brought the two civilizations closer together. But time was running out. As the knowledge exchange continued, more reports arrived from the galaxy's edges, more anomalies, more disappearances, more signs that something vast and ancient was stirring. The question wasn't just whether humanity and the Alliance could work together. It was whether they could do so quickly enough to face what was coming. As the first day of the summit drew to a close, Admiral Chen stood with Administrator Vextel in the Archives observation dome, watching the stars. We're running out of time, Chen said quietly. Vextel's crystalline form pulsed with determination. Then we must make the most of what we have. The Alliance has existed for thousands of years because we learned to adapt. Perhaps it's time for our greatest adaptation yet. The stars continued their eternal dance overhead, unaware that below them, two civilizations were racing against time to prepare for a conflict that would determine the fate of the galaxy itself. A new dawn. The warning came not as a signal, but as a silence. Across the galaxy, 3,000 monitoring stations went dark simultaneously. In the Harbinger's command center, Admiral Chen watched as section after section of the galactic map turned black. They're here, she said quietly. The Alliance Council had convened an emergency session, their images projected into the command center via quantum entanglement. Administrator Vextel's crystalline form pulsed with urgent patterns. The dark zone is expanding, she reported. We're losing contact with entire sectors. The Krathor defense fleet, it's just gone. No debris, no signal, nothing. Dr. Webb's fingers danced over his control panels. The spatial distortions are unlike anything we've seen. It's as if, as if space itself is being rewritten. The Ancient Ones have returned. First speaker Ixal's telepathic voice carried a tremor of ancient racial memory. The legends spoke of them, beings who existed before the first stars, who shaped galaxies as we shape clay. The Harbinger shuddered as reality rippled around it. Through the quantum viewers, they saw them. Vast shapes that defied comprehension, ships that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Ancient One's fleet made the Harbinger look like a toy in comparison. Combat I. Chen commanded. Analysis. Enemy vessels operate on principles that transcend current understanding of physics. The AI responded, detecting technology that appears to manipulate fundamental forces of reality. Conservative estimate suggests their capabilities exceed combined human alliance forces by several orders of magnitude. The command center fell silent. Humanity had shared its most advanced technology. The Alliance had contributed its vast knowledge and resources. Together, they had prepared for this moment for months. And yet, it's not enough, Dr. Tanaka said, voicing what everyone was thinking. Conventional warfare is meaningless against beings who can rewrite the laws of physics. Chen's expression hardened. Then we changed the game. Dr. Webb, initiate Protocol Prometheus. Webb's eyes widened. Admiral, that's theoretical. We've never. We're out of options. Chen cut him off. Execute the protocol. Throughout Alliance space, human ships began to move. The Harbinger's hull started to shimmer, its molecular structure shifting into new configurations. On thousands of worlds, quantum receivers activated, linking every human and Alliance vessel into a single network. What are you doing? Vextal demanded. Dr. Tanaka answered as she worked furiously at her station. We're going to give the Ancient Ones something they've never seen before. Evolution in real time. The Harbinger's transformation accelerated. Its structure began to merge with nearby Alliance vessels. Human probability drives combining with Alliance quantum technology in ways their designers had never intended. The ship was becoming something new, something that had never existed before. You can't possibly control this level of integration, Ixal warned. We're not going to control it, Chen replied. We're going to let it control itself. Dr. Webb, activate the collective consciousness interface. What happened next defied description. The merged human alliance fleet didn't just fight the Ancient Ones. It evolved with every passing second. When the Ancient Ones rewrote physics, the fleet adapted to the new laws instantly. When they shifted dimensions, the fleet followed. Through it all, Chen stood at the center of the command deck, her consciousness linked to thousands of others, human and alien alike, through the quantum network. They were no longer separate species fighting together. They had become something entirely new. Remarkable, one of the Ancient Ones finally communicated, their thoughts resonating through space itself. In all our cycles of observation, we have never seen species merge their consciousness and technology so completely. The battle paused as the Ancient Ones studied the transformed fleet. What they saw challenged their fundamental assumptions about life itself. This was a test, Chen responded, her voice carrying the combined weight of human and Alliance minds. You wanted to see if we could transcend our limitations, overcome our divisions. Yes, the Ancient Ones confirmed. We have watched countless civilizations rise and fall. Most destroy themselves, others stagnate. Few ever achieve true unity. The transformed fleet hung in space, neither advancing nor retreating. And now? Chen asked. Now, the Ancient Ones responded. You have proven yourselves ready. Ready to join the greater community of galaxies, ready to face the true challenges that lie between the stars. The darkness began to recede. The Ancient One ships started to fade from normal space, but their message continued. We will return when you have fully integrated your civilizations. What you achieved today in desperation, you must learn to do by choice. Only then will you be prepared for what awaits beyond your galaxy's edges. As suddenly as they had appeared, the Ancient Ones were gone. In their wake, they left a changed galaxy. The experimental merger of human and Alliance technology had opened doors that couldn't be closed. In the Harbinger's command center, now transformed into something that barely resembled its original form, Chen looked at her alien counterparts. "Well," she said with a small smile, "I guess the knowledge exchange just became a lot more interesting." Vextel's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been laughter. Indeed, it seems humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just technology or military power. "No," Ixal agreed, his telepathic voice carrying new understanding. "It was the ability to embrace change, to see beyond limitations, to become more than the sum of our parts." As the transformed fleet began the process of separating back into individual ships, the leaders of humanity and the Alliance knew that nothing would ever be the same. They had glimpsed a future where the boundaries between species dissolved, where consciousness and technology merged in ways previously unimaginable. The Ancient Ones had given them a challenge, but also an opportunity. The galaxy was changing, evolving, becoming something new. And humanity, with its contradictions and creativity, its determination and adaptability, would help lead the way into that uncertain but promising future. The dawn of a new age had arrived, and its light would reach far beyond the stars they knew.